Hey guys, it's been a while. I don't work at Donut anymore, and I haven't for a while. I wasn't allowed to talk about it, but now I am. Most of you have probably already guessed that, but it is official. From the mouth of me, I don't work at Donut Media anymore, and I started a new channel, this one. It's called Speed with 3 E's. Welcome to Speed. I'm gonna tell you guys why I'm leaving Donut, what I'm gonna do next, what this channel is gonna be. I am very excited and very nervous, to be honest, about the next chapter in this journey, but luckily, I'm not doing it alone. One, I've got you guys, the best friends a fellow could have. And two, the real OGs have definitely heard this guy's name, but you might not recognize his face. The former chief creative officer, creative director of Donut, my best friend and creative soulmate, Jesse Wood, is behind the camera right now. We're doing it together. But before we get into the future, I think it would only be appropriate to acknowledge the past. I need to call out how special the last 9 years have been. Working for Donut and on Donut has been the experience of a lifetime, and by far, like not even close, the coolest thing that I've ever done. I got to meet and in a lot of ways grow up with an amazing group of extremely talented, dedicated, and genuinely good people. I am so grateful for that. I'm grateful for them, and I'm grateful for you guys. I mean, it goes without saying that Donut would not be what it is without you guys. And my life would not be what it is without you either. I mean, guys, straight up, my life used to kind of suck. And now, it's pretty sweet. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for allowing me to do this. Donut has gone through a lot of phases. Countless milestones, a bunch of people and faces since it started in 2015. And I want to take some time to give credit to those people and highlight some of those momentous events that shaped Donut and really my life. So, some of you have been asking for it. I thought it'd be fun, if you guys don't mind. This is everything you need to know to get up to speed on Donut. This is the first email I ever got from Donut Media. At this point, Donut was a small production company. They were like 3 months old. They were mostly making cool stunt videos with Formula D drivers. I was a huge fan of Ryan Turk from his videos on Network A. He also drove in this video with Chris Forsberg and Tony Angelo called Bloodmasters. Coolest shit ever. I was in love with it. And when I heard that the guys who put that together were involved in this new thing called Donut, I was super excited to meet with them. Donut was started at the end of 2015 by 3 guys, Ben Conrad, Nick Mosseri, and Matt Levin. Ben did a bunch of stuff. Developed the visual effects for the first iPod commercial with the silhouettes. Created the titles for Zombieland. The visuals for Beyonce's Lemonade tour. Oh yeah, and he directed Gymkhana 4 through 8. Nick was his production partner, a guy who knew and knows everybody and loves to introduce them to each other. He's the one who found me and the guy who sent that email that we just saw. Matt Levin worked at Awesomeness and would become Donut's CEO and one of the most important and influential professional relationships that I've ever had. I'm grateful for all these guys. Back then, I was a comedian with varying degrees of success.
So what are you guys doing? Is that like a store or something?
No.
Holler. I did a lot of improv, a lot of sketch comedy. I was in some movies and some TV shows. I also wrote for some. And that entire time, I was driving stupid cars. was like this, and this, and this. Stupid cars. When I got that email from Donut though, I was in my sister's basement in Chicago trying to figure out how those things might help me get any sort of normal job. Because after years of struggling and feeling like success was just around the corner, I'd all but given up on the idea that entertaining people for a living was in the cards for me. So when I got that email and the idea of combining the only two things that I ever cared about, cars and being funny, was potentially slightly possible, I took it as a sign from God. And I flew back on Spirit Airlines for that meeting. And I'm glad I did. Not even in hindsight, I was immediately stoked. As soon as I walked into the old Donut office on Purdue Avenue and met with the guys who worked there at the time, I was in. It felt special in a way that I'd never seen before. And most importantly, it felt like I belonged there. These guys liked what I liked, cars and making stuff. They had tattoos, cool pants, they smelled good, and they were actually friends with each other. They all hung out, all the time. It was literally the coolest shit I could have ever imagined, and they wanted me to be a part of it. Within a few months, I fired my agent and managers, quit doing comedy shows and going to auditions, and went full-time with Donut as their head writer.
Somebody order a race car? Yeah, me.
Initially, I had no interest in being on camera. I was burnt out on performing. We mostly made stunt videos and experimental one-off stuff, so there wasn't a lot for me to do on camera anyway. I was enamored with Ben, and I wanted to learn as much from him and the other guys as possible. Ben was rich, and Ben directed commercials, so I figured I could eventually learn how to direct commercials, and I'd be rich like Ben. My new job at Donut immediately improved my situation immensely. All right? It allowed me enough money to rent a porch. My bedroom, when I first started working there, was a literal porch off the kitchen in a house full of other dudes. That house was full of rats and has since burnt down. I accidentally got a pair of shoes sent there, and I texted my old roommate. I was like, hey man, do you still live there? He's like, no dude, that place burnt down. It's gone. I was moving up, but I wasn't satisfied. Not at all, boy. This porch was just the beginning. I want to take a time out here to highlight just how grateful I am for everything that Donut and the audience who've supported it over the years have done for me. You know, putting this video together has reminded me just how much my life has changed because of this. I'm making decisions right now based on what I want to do next, not on what I have to do next. And that privilege is not lost on me at all. So for every single one of you that are hopefully watching this right now, thank you so much. It's gonna take a while, dude. The first video I ever made for Donut Media was called Don't Get Screwed Buying a Used Car.
Don't get screwed buying a used car.
It was a VO-driven montage list of all the things that you should do when buying a used car to make sure that you don't get screwed.
Look at the condition of the tires. Look at the brakes. Do the pads and rotors look thin? Do they look grooved like a record? Then they're broken.
The shooter for that video was a dude named Jesse Wood. We bonded over the fact that we both had Vans Authentics on and we didn't know which one of us was the boss, a theme that would continue throughout our relationship and is still very much the case today. We shot the video, and as we were driving back on the 10 freeway, Jesse leaned out of the passenger window of the camera car, hung inches from the asphalt, and filmed rolling shots of me driving the terrible E36 that we just bought. Los Angeles skyline behind me in the sunset. I felt like Ryan Gosling, and I got a friend boner that hasn't gone down in 8 years. I've shot hundreds of rollers since that day, in much cooler locations, in way nicer cars, but that day changed my life. It was the definition of a core memory. and set my life on a trajectory that I'm still currently on. Making videos about cool stuff with Jesse Wood. Ironically, the BMW had title issues, subframe damage, and we did in fact get screwed. Now, many of you guys probably found the channel from Up to Speed or Money Pit, Wheelhouse, Bumper to Bumper, or if you're an OG, Science Garage. But the time before any of those shows existed was so fun and raw, informative to what Donut ended up being, and the people that worked there played a huge role in the vibe that you guys fell in love with, even though most of them moved on before you ever heard of us. James Kirkham, Jacob Agajanian, Andy Laputka, Sam, Conifer, Levon, Tony Balde, and Hannah Franzini, who Jesse and I still work with today. All of these people were instrumental in developing Donut into something worth paying attention to. I could make a whole video about how they contributed to the aesthetic, the vibe, the overall feel and purpose of Donut. Several of them went on to start a company called Race Service. Now, this is also when some of the people that you have heard of came into the picture. Nolan was hired as an intern. Felipe Armenta and Eddie Esparza, who have shot, edited, and directed some of the best videos we've ever made, also started their Donut careers as interns.
You guys need any help?
In 2017, about a year after I got involved, Matt Levin, the CEO at the time, asked me to make a video about the history of a car.
He's talking about Up to Speed.
Hey dude, I haven't seen you in a while. Now, I popped up in Donut videos here and there, but my focus really was not being on camera, all right? I was happy being a part of the team, coming up with fun drift video concepts and making pitch decks, trying to figure out how to say, he will slide around a corner, or it will be shot in a fun and interesting style a bunch of different ways. Basically saying, hey, trust us. Matt insisted, and we decided that I'd host a video about the history of the Nissan Skyline. Took a couple weeks to write, 6 hours to shoot, and took Eddie months to edit it on this terrible, hilarious gaming laptop with a literal cracked screen.
Do anyone got Mike?
Like if an art department in a movie brought this laptop and was like, hey, some guy's gonna edit on this in the movie, people would be like, no fucking way, dude. The thing sucks. Altogether, took about 4 months. It was 5 minutes long.
If you like this format, let us know what else you want us to cover. If you hate my face, let me know. If you want me to die, please tell me how. Please subscribe, comment.
Now, this time we were mostly making stuff for Facebook because Facebook was paying creators well, and Up to Speed, the name we ended up calling this new video, was an experiment on building an audience on YouTube. I'm gonna be real with you guys, all right? Did pretty good. Did pretty good, dude. Got a ton of views right away, and as a reward, I was told that I have to make one every week until the day that I die. Up to Speed changed everything. Let me be clear. The stunt videos that we had been doing were rad. All right, very cool. But they were expensive and they took a lot of resources to shoot. Every video would take the entire team out of the office, sometimes to another country for days or even weeks at a time. Now, I often say that early Donut was pretty much a boutique ad agency. Those stunt videos were essentially ads, and how cool they were was very dependent on how cool the client was willing to let us be. And the views reflected that. Suddenly, with Up to Speed, we were seeing people come back to the channel every Thursday to see a new episode, no matter what car we were talking about. We were getting views, and for the first time ever, we were starting to get subscribers. You guys. That's when you guys got here.
Not me. I've been here since Grannies and Lambos and Chris Forsberg Drift Van Q&A.
Well, not you.
I'm what you call an OG.
I'm saying most people, all right? Most subscribers started showing up when we started doing weekly content consistently. And because of that, we decided to go with it. In a wild and completely undeserved showing of confidence, Matt promoted Jesse to creative director, later chief creative officer, and me to editor-in-chief. The two of us were now in charge of all things creative at Donut. Now, none of this Donut would have happened without Matt Levin. Matt is the smartest person that I've ever met, and there are a lot of people that I've talked to who've said that same thing to me unprompted, all right? For anyone, he saw what Donut could be, and he didn't relent on reminding us. He pushed us constantly, further than we thought we could go. He had big ideas, he encouraged us to have big ideas, and then he'd figure out how that we could do those big ideas. No one had ever believed in either me or Jesse to this level before. And I'm sure other people at Donut feel the same way. The amount of respect and confidence that was put in us and the amount of care that was given to our development as creatives and leaders is a gift that I hope someday I can afford on more people in the future. Matt, thank you. Now, our first decision as leaders, one that I stand by to this day, brilliant move, hire our friends, teach the interns how to do stuff. One such intern was a young man by the name of Nolan J. Sykes. Perhaps you've heard of him. Now, Nolan is one of the best known and most talented and dynamic personalities in automotive media, but back then, he was a college student with a dream, an amazing work ethic, and a haircut that was years ahead of its time. Nolan sent Matt an email asking if Donut needed interns. Matt told him to email back in a few months. And according to Nolan, he set a reminder on his phone for exactly 3 months from that day. He emailed Matt again and was invited to come meet with the team. Now, when people ask me how they can get a job at a place like Donut or anywhere really, I always use Nolan as an example of doing it right. All right, show that you care, that you're dedicated, that you can respond, but don't be a fucking weirdo. All right, Nolan rode the line perfectly. And I think we can all agree that it's paid off for him. The dude is a fucking star now. Now, back then, we didn't know what we were doing. Okay, I'm gonna be real. So we ended up doing a little bit of everything. So in turn, everyone at Donut did a little bit of everything, and together we would tackle more and more bits every day until we decided that's enough. When Nolan joined the team, he started doing a bunch of stuff until eventually he gravitated to the stuff that he liked the most. He edited videos, wrote sales copy, helped source clips and research for our early series, The Bestest. Eventually, he expressed interest in writing, so we gave him a shot. He took to it very naturally and soaked up everything that me and Bart taught him like a sponge, and eventually Nolan became my favorite writer at Donut. I mean, he still is. No one before or since has even come close. The dude understands timing, the build, story, jokes. He knows when to be serious, and though it's harder for him when not to be. He eventually told us that he wanted to be on camera as well, so we had him write, edit, and host his own daily automotive news show, Donut News. It lasted 9 days. In hindsight, that was insane to think a person could do that. It is a lot of work, and he almost lost his mind. But he didn't, and he kind of killed it. So we started developing a concept that would go on to become Wheelhouse, the longest running donut show in the history of the channel.
You know, it's very possible my nostalgia for these cars is clouding my judgment.
Working with Nolan has been one of the great joys of my lifetime. When I was younger, I was fortunate enough to have some really great mentors. Guys like Matt Walsh, Colton Dunn, Scott Rogers, Joe Wagner, Eric Moneypenny, Heather Ann Campbell, Ian Roberts, Sam Brown, Trevor Moore, Matt Levin. and a lot of other people. They all spent hours, weeks, years talking to me about comedy, writing with me, letting me act in their thing, giving me notes on my thing, really helping me figure out who I was and how I could best present myself to an audience and be the best me that I could be. I wasn't a good actor, but I'm a pretty good me. They would tell me when I did a good job and maybe more importantly, how to do a better job when I did a bad one. And Nolan was really the first person I could pass that down to. My first chance to pay it forward and teach someone to do the thing that I love, to participate in a tradition that really formed me. Nolan is also my friend, and the partnership that we shared during those formative days of the channel is really special. Recurring jokes like Nolan drinking milk or my son Nolan came from a very pure and genuine, joyful place of joking around at the old Donut headquarters, trying to make each other laugh because we knew if we could do that, people on YouTube might think it was funny too. The vibe and feel that came to define Donut was real and was forged in those early days when all we had was a building, I think a single camera, and more courage and talent than resources.
I'm known for selling radios, cars and TVs. AM, FM radio has plenty of fans. But what if car owners could have music on demand? Ta-da!
We made do with what we had, and we built something out of nothing. Speaking of friends, this was around the time that Bart showed up. Now, Bart and I worked at a restaurant together in Louisville, Kentucky. He was a waiter, and I was his busboy. I was actually head busser at that restaurant until I got fired. We hit it off instantly, and I actually did my first comedy show with Bart. Bart is just about the best friend that anyone could ever hope for. All right, there's times in my early 20s when Bart was the only reason I was able to eat. He let me borrow his Oldsmobile so I could go to auditions. And when I got arrested when I was 23 for stealing a registration sticker, Bart and two of the other guys on that list from before bailed me out of jail. Turns out, that's a felony. All charges were eventually dropped. When I got my gig at Donut, I brought Bart in as soon as I could. He took over head writer duties when I got new responsibilities, and as most of you know, started hosting his own show, Science Garage.
So bad. And breaks are the middlemen between expands.
Boy, that was fun and easy.
Now, for a lot of people, this is the golden age of Donut. The first one, at least. This is the team that hit 1 million subscribers. The team that did our first SEMA trip, got our first press car. The first team with Donut t-shirts and hats. Jimmy showed up. This time at Donut was the first time in my life that I felt successful. And I was surrounded by a bunch of people who I loved, who are also sharing in that first. It was the fucking best, and our lineup was fucking sick. Wheelhouse, Science Garage, New Car Show, which later turned into Bumper to Bumper, the old version, hosted by me. This is also when we did Miracle Whips. And Batting Cleanup, the show that started it all, Up to Speed. I fucking love that shit, man. That shit was the most fucking fun shit ever, man. It was responsible for so many things that still ripple through the channel to this day. Our style, our sense of humor, our shared point of view. Every car is cool. Let's be inclusive. A hardcore car guy can watch it and enjoy it, but a person who's just casually into cars can watch it and like it too. People watched it with their kids. People watched it with their spouses. Not to mention all the weird phrases that stuck around. Mo Powell, baby!
Mo Powell, baby! Mo Powell, baby! Mo Powell, baby!
Buff horses. Buff horses. Lightning, lightning, lightning!
Lightning, lightning, lightning!
Hearse purrs, just like my dad, Jessica, Nolan's son. Things that you guys connected to and made into a thing.
I almost forgot.
A lot of the style and humor of that show is thanks to Colby Mann, the editor of Up to Speed. Colby was my DJ. We had a shorthand. I'd be filming an episode in the hallway while he was editing on the other side of the office, and if I said something funny enough, I could hear Colby laughing. And I knew I was freaking killing it. And then he'd try and make me laugh with the edit. He's the reason that we started shooting on a green screen so that he could move me all around and I think put me in space if you wanted to.
What?
Ram Charger.
James, I see your videos. You're driving around in that HE double hockey sticks cat.
It's called a Hellcat. Yeah, trick.
Oh my lord, please don't use that language.
Without Colby, we definitely wouldn't have gone as far or as hard as we did. I think the channel would look totally different. Probably a lot more boring. And the next few years were just kind of a blur doing that stuff. Multiple videos a week, trying to figure out what worked and what didn't. Eventually Matt told me, hey, we need more hosts. So we posted on our Insta and hired a casting director to do a nationwide casting call. Thousands of people applied, but one guy stood out heads and shoulders above the rest. A dude from North Canton, Ohio that worked at ECS Tuning, Zach Job.
Bad bitches in a Beamer, that's a big biz. Chrome heart got me kissing on his best friend. Put in work, baby, you could be my best man. Sending cash in my account, he investing.
Zach changed the game for us. When he came on board, we went from being a channel that talked about cars and sometimes drove cars to a channel that built cars. He's probably the only person on the planet with his specific skill set. Right? He worked in parts development at ECS. He's an insane mechanic. He was good on camera, straight out of the box. He was a really hard worker, and he was really interested in learning about his new job. Now, stunt videos was phase 1. Up to Speed, Science Garage, and Wheelhouse were phase 2. Then phase 3 started the day that Zach showed up.
This is our E36 rally.
Zach moved here in an RV. We were like, you want an apartment? He's like, no. And while he was still literally sleeping under a bridge, we started production on High Low Season 1.
Does more expensive mean more better?
Let's find out. Let's find out.
Yeah.
Now I feel like all the videos we made up until this point were really good mixtapes. Okay, we got some buzz. People were starting to know who we were. We had a pretty dedicated fan base that was rooting for us, but High Low was our debut album. It was the first time that we were all on camera together, our first series, our first real multi-week production, and the first time that Donut bought project cars.
Good pump going. All right.
I just rewatched the first season about a year ago, and I remember thinking, this is so good, but there is no way that we could do something like this again. We were so dedicated to get it done. The emotions are so real. We barely slept for weeks. Our budgets were tiny, and we loved it. For the most part. And I think all of that really comes through in the series. We're just grateful to be there. And the best moment in the history of the channel happened in that first season.
Here we go. Okay, 3, 2, 1. That was a joke.
This is like what failure looks like.
You getting on?
No, Eddie, not good. What the fuck you think, dude?
High-low is my favorite thing, and in my opinion, still the best thing that we have ever done on the channel. Now, I can't mention High-low without mentioning another Zach, Zach Redpath. Zach co-directed season 1 of High-low with Jesse, and he's directed almost every season since, all but one. He might be the single most talented person that I have ever worked with. All right, he's also one of the coolest people that I've ever met. The Tacoma season of High-low was kind of a rough, crazy time. High-low always is, but that one especially. We ran out of water on a mountain for days.
Straight! Straight! Okay, stop! Was that the winch? That was the whole bumper.
When we got back from Colorado, Redpath quit, all right, and moved to Paris for a year. He's that kind of cool. Over the years, we've offered him senior roles with a bunch of different job titles, and he's turned them all down, all right? That's how fucking cool the guy is. He prefers coming in, killing it, and leaving. Eddie and Felipe, the guys who started as interns with Nolan, are also responsible for shooting and co-directing a lot of High-low. That show definitely would not be what it is without those dudes. They did such a great job, in fact, that when we launched Job's solo show, Money Pit, those guys started directing full time. Felipe would later end up directing a lot of Bumper to Bumpers, starring Jeremiah Burton. Speaking of Jeremiah Burton, Jeremiah auditioned during the same casting call as Zach, but we'd already given the role to Zach. But Jer was funny and cool, and we liked him, so we brought him on as a writer. For the next year, he wrote some episodes of Bumper to Bumper and some scripts for Up to Speed. Jer, some, as well as a bunch of other stuff, and he killed it. So at the beginning of 2020, we gave him his own show. He took over Bumper to Bumper, and then COVID hit. And with it came a new era of Donut. We didn't miss a single upload. We immediately ordered webcams and sent them to everybody's house. Jesse, Redpath, and Max set up all the hosts with OBS and taught us how to shoot well enough to get the job done. Our head of production, Christina Nikolic, somehow connected all of this stuff, driving between our houses all over the city and sometimes outside of the city, keeping this shit running. I'm trying to figure out what to say she did, but I literally have no idea, all right? I just know that we couldn't have done it without her, and the fact that I don't know what she did is the sign of a good producer. When COVID hit, Zach had just started shooting Money Pit at his house with Eddie, so they just locked in and started doing their thing. Nolan did Wheelhouse and Pass Gas over Zoom with me and Joe Weber. Joe Weber did Pass Gas with me and Nolan over Zoom. I did Pass Gas with Nolan and Joe Weber over Zoom. I was also doing Up to Speed and launched the D-List the first week of quarantine. Now the D-List is when I started working really closely with a guy named Max Maddox, who would go on to become the current creative director of Donut. D-List might be my favorite part of quarantine. Max and I were just doing the weirdest, most unhinged shit.
Knocked it out of the frickin' park!
I'm going crazy.
AKA Amiata. Look at the facts, all right? Just
Give me back my son!
You're a little shook and
It was perfect for being basically slap happy for a year. I think he's such a creative, awesome person, and his job is hard right now. And he cares about Donut probably more than anyone. So please, like I said, give him a shot, and please be nice to him. Jeremiah went into COVID a new host, and he came out of COVID a fucking star who had COVID and gave it to us like 3 times. He turned his garage into a studio first day, and him, Felipe, Tiernan, and Jesse completely changed a show that used to be me talking about a build into an engineering-driven weekly event and a lot of people's favorite show, establishing himself as the science-minded specialist of our team. Jeremiah became our Donatello. Nolan is Michelangelo. Zach, obviously Raphael. Not gonna say who I am, but it's not Master Splinter. At some point, Kanan Garrison took over for Felipe and became a really great creative partner for Jeremiah. I think so much of Donut is duos. Me and Jesse, me and Max, me and Colby, Zach and Eddie, Redpath and Nolan. Kanan and Jeremiah have made some of the best Donut videos over the past few years.
I haven't seen it out in the
He's a big time now, and the videos they've released so far are awesome. And you can bet that Kanan's a big part of that.
Crack it open.
While I'm giving props to directors, I gotta shout out Henry Drayton. He's worked with us forever and is responsible for some of the coolest and weirdest stuff that we've ever done. All in all, honestly, quarantine was pretty sick for us. I mean, it was weird, obviously. It was weird for everybody, but it was a time of extreme growth for Donut, both for the channel and viewership. People had a lot of time to sit around and watch YouTube videos. But it was also huge for us creatively because we were forced to push ourselves into making videos in a completely different way. And because we weren't allowed to do anything else. We basically became individual creators, all making videos alone in our houses, but we also talked more that year than we ever did before or since. We leaned on each other and supported each other. It sucked, but it was awesome. It was truly triumphant. In another genius move from Matt, we took advantage of the low commercial real estate prices during COVID, and we finally got a shop in Inglewood. It allowed us to work on more cars. We did more seasons of high-low. We were able to make bigger videos, have even bigger ideas. And then in November of 2021, Donut Media was acquired by Recurrent Ventures. And to be honest, not much changed initially. 2022 was actually pretty sick. We hired Justin. Matt had moved away from LA, so we had an entire year totally unsupervised in a new shop. It was like Lord of the Flies, which is a book. We hung out and stayed late almost every day. I met Riley when she was painting the mural in the office. I became really good friends with Andy Paz, the guy who designs all our merch. Our videos evolved with the ability to shoot new kinds of stuff in a new space. We had gone from shooting in a hallway in West LA in an office that we shared with 2 other companies to shooting alone in our homes for almost 2 years, and now all together again with room to be creative in so many new ways.
Okay? Oh my God.
We swapped V8s into the Zs. We built trucks. We built WRXs. We shot each other with BB guns. We had cookouts and happy hours. It was total chaos, but we somehow got it done and we were getting a ton of views. My birthday that year was one of the best birthdays I have ever had. And then, slowly, it got less and less fun. And I think a number of things contributed to that. We were and are involved in less and less decisions. There was more structure, more bosses. And honestly, at this point, we were all just really tired. Jesse and I have been going full into this thing since 2016, and the other guys have been going just as hard, a lot of times harder, since they came on. And we did that because there was this idea that was either told to us or imagined, probably a lot of both, that we were all building something together, all right? But that thing that we were building wasn't ours, and it never was, and it never would be. And I think that that's the original sin of Donut. We don't own it. and we never owned it. None of the guys that make videos got rich when it sold. And more importantly, without owning Donut, we don't get to decide what Donut does, which is scary when you're the faces of it. The new leadership at Donut and I often disagreed about what was best for Donut. I was very vocal about what I thought, probably too vocal. I'm not very good at hiding how I feel, which ironically is something that I always felt made me better at this job. I've cried twice during this video so far. Jesse ended up leaving in February, which was a huge hit to my motivation to stay, and eventually me and the guys in charge decided that it was best if we ended my contract early. Now, this relationship that I've built with you guys over the past 9 years is something that I've worked very hard for, and something that I am incredibly grateful for. It's also something that I'm extremely protective over. It's what every YouTube channel is based on, the audience, you guys. And every time a company makes a decision, it has the potential to put that relationship at risk. And at Donut, I don't feel like I have enough say in what those decisions are and whether or not we should take those risks. So I'd rather start a new thing where the only person I have to make decisions with is my best friend that I trust, because my relationship with you guys is one of the most important things in my life. I literally owe you everything. I'm not exaggerating. I was living on a fucking porch when I met you. Now, I'm not saying that the decisions the company is making are bad, but the fact that I'm not making them, or sometimes even consulted, is enough for me to have to walk away. So I am. Which finally brings me to what the fuck this is.
Oh my God, finally, it's been talking about memories forever.
Welcome to Speed. So, what is Speed? In a lot of ways, it's a return to the stuff that I think I'm good at, the stuff that I really enjoy making, the stuff that I miss the most, just sitting here and talking to you guys, telling you stories that I think deserve to be told, and teaching you about stuff that I think is cool, and you might think is cool too. There will be some car stuff, for sure, a bunch of it, but I want the opportunity to really explore a whole world of subjects. I want to get out of my comfort zone and spread my wings. I want to feel nervous again. I want to be new to something. And just like we fell in love with the stories of Carroll Shelby, Lee Iacocca, RWB, Spoon, Mugen, all that other crazy car shit that I talked about from 2016 to 2022, there is a whole world of people, places, and stuff out there that I think is equally as interesting. Things that I think are cool and exciting that I can't wait to tell you about. Now, I think that you guys and I have a lot in common. It's why we get along so well. So I'm hoping that you guys will love and enjoy this stuff and think it's cool too. Stuff like Nike SB, Carhartt, Jackass, Virgil Abloh, Bass Pro Shop, Glock, Rolex, Leica, Fender, Chrome Hearts, Levi's, Braindead, Adidas, Dieter Rams. Basically, I'm gonna do Up to Speed on a bunch of different cool shit to tell you everything you need to know about everything. I've been so focused and nervous about getting this video out and the next couple of videos ready. Hopefully enough of you guys like this new project, because if Jesse and I are able to think about speed in the way that we used to think about Donut, knowing what we know now, and most importantly, 100% in charge of where it goes and what it does, I am really excited to see what kind of fruit this tree can bear. I'm excited to share that fruit with you guys. Maybe make some jams or some hard candies. I'm leaving a channel with a lot of YouTube subscribers, and this channel has 0 as of today. So if you like this or me and you're excited about this new thing, please let me know by subscribing. We're gonna be releasing a lot of new videos, but they're not gonna be every week because we're literally a team of 2 and we want to make sure that they're really good. Every single video we're going to try our best at. So hit that notification bell so you don't miss any. And follow me on Instagram, because that is by far the easiest way for me to talk to you guys day to day. And because this is a new venture, I'm going to be updating you on a lot of stuff. I'm really, really excited to be communicating with you guys a lot more. Everything said on my Instagram and on this channel does reflect the views of myself. Thank you for the past 9 years, guys. Here's to 9 more. Oh, I love you.
I didn't think it's what I wanted. I had it all figured out.
I never got a donut tattoo when I worked there because I didn't want to jinx it. I thought it would be nice to commemorate the memory. It was like a really great time in my life. Plus, I know that a lot of you guys have donut tattoos, and I don't want you to regret it, so we're in it together. Welcome to Speed.